They call you weak. God calls you warrior. From the very beginning of life, labels are placed upon us by others. Some call us fragile, some call us incapable, and some point to our struggles as proof that we will never rise higher than the dust beneath our feet. Yet beyond the noise of human voices, there is a greater declaration over your life, one that does not come from opinion, but from eternal truth. You are not weak, you are a warrior. When the world underestimates you, when people dismiss you, when circumstances seem to strip away your strength, there is a divine identity planted deep within you that cannot be taken away. It is the warrior within that God Himself has spoken into existence. This truth is not dependent on whether others see it, but on whether you embrace it. Before we go further into this journey, I want to invite you to stay with this message until the very end, because there is something powerful that happens when we engage together. I also encourage you to write in the comments your warmest wishes and include the number 77. This is not just a number. It represents a chapter about wishes coming true and energizing the universe. As you release your intentions, as you put words to your deepest desires, you are aligning yourself with the flow of divine energy that calls you not into weakness but into strength, not into despair but into victory. Write them with faith and watch how doors begin to open in unexpected places. When others look at you and see fragility, they see only the surface. They do not see the unseen battles you have endured, the long nights of struggle, the tears you have hidden from the world, and the courage it took just to keep moving forward when everything inside you screamed to give up. They see weakness, but God sees the scars of your endurance as medals of honor. God calls you a warrior because He knows what He placed within you. He knows that every trial, every storm, every valley was not sent to destroy you, but to shape you into a fighter who cannot be broken by the weight of the world. A warrior is not one who never falls, but one who rises every time. You have risen, even when no one was watching, and that is why you carry the mark of a warrior. Being called weak can be one of the most painful experiences. It hurts when others cannot recognize your effort, when your mistakes are magnified but your perseverance is ignored. Perhaps people have laughed at your failures, whispered about your setbacks, or dismissed your dreams as impossible. But let me remind you, every great warrior has been misunderstood at some point. Strength is often invisible until the moment of battle arrives. You may not carry the loudest voice, you may not be the one others expect to lead, but when the test comes, when the storm rages, that is when the hidden strength within you rises. You have been underestimated because others cannot see what God already knows about you. The title of warrior has been written over your life, not in ink that fades, but in the eternal decree of the one who formed you. Think about what it means to be a warrior. A warrior is not chosen because they appear flawless. A warrior is chosen because they are willing to fight despite their flaws. Weakness does not disqualify you. In fact, it is often the very foundation upon which strength is built. A true warrior has tasted defeat, has walked through brokenness, has confronted fear face to face. And yet, they do not remain in that place. They rise, they endure, they press forward. You may feel weak at times, but the presence of weakness does not erase the identity of a warrior. Instead, it gives power to it, because the greatest warriors are those who have felt the sting of limitation and still chosen to fight anyway. There are moments when you stand in front of the mirror and the reflection staring back at you does not look like a warrior. Maybe you see tired eyes, a weary soul, and a body that feels exhausted from carrying too much. Maybe your mind tells you that you are too small, too broken, too insignificant to matter. But that mirror does not show the whole truth. It reflects only what is physical. It cannot reflect the strength of your spirit, the resilience of your heart, the courage that has kept you alive through seasons that should have crushed you. You are more than what the mirror shows. You are more than the sum of your failures. You are the embodiment of a divine warrior, one who has been equipped not with visible armor, but with an inner fire that no enemy can extinguish. They call you weak when you take the time to rest. They call you weak when you express your emotions. They call you weak when you admit your struggles. But a warrior knows that resting is part of the battle, that acknowledging pain is part of healing, and that honesty about wounds is the path to recovery. Warriors do not pretend to be invincible. They simply refuse to be defeated, and that is exactly who you are. Every time you picked yourself up from the floor, every time you smiled when your heart was heavy, every time you kept walking when your legs wanted to collapse, you proved your warrior spirit even when no one else noticed. NTHE voice of the world tells you that weakness is shameful, but the voice of God transforms weakness into strength. The world says you have no power, but God says that His power is made perfect in your weakest moments. The world says you are broken, but God calls you whole, strong, and victorious. You are not defined by the labels others put on you. You are defined by the divine calling over your life. You may not see yourself as a warrior right now, but you are living proof that warriors are not born in comfort. They are born in the fires of adversity. Every hardship you have endured has been shaping you, forging you, refining you into the warrior you were always meant to be. There is something powerful about embracing this identity. When you see yourself as weak, you live beneath your potential, you settle for less, you accept the labels given by others, and you allow their opinions to shape your worth. But when you begin to see yourself as the warrior God calls you to be, you rise to a new level. You begin to move with confidence, not arrogance, but with the assurance that you are not who they say you are. You are who God says you are. And if God calls you warrior, then warrior you are. You may not feel strong every day, but identity is not about feelings. It is about truth. And the truth is unshaken, even when emotions fluctuate. NTHE world will never stop labeling. People will continue to judge, to misunderstand, to criticize. But their words do not hold the final authority over your life. Every insult, every dismissal, every whisper against you, none of it can erase the truth that has already been spoken. You are a warrior. And warriors are not defined by how many battles they win. They are defined by their refusal to stop fighting. Your strength is not measured by applause, but by endurance. Your worth is not determined by recognition, but by resilience. And your legacy is not written by those who doubt you, but by the victories you claim through persistence. When you walk into a room, there are people who only see what they expect to see. They look at you through the lens of their own assumptions. They might see a quiet person and mistake silence for weakness. They might see someone who has stumbled before and assume failure will always define you. They might see someone who carries scars and assume you are broken beyond repair. But what they fail to see is the fire within. A warrior's strength is not always loud, not always visible, not always obvious to the outside world. Sometimes it is the quietest person in the room, the one who seems overlooked, who carries the greatest strength. God has a way of raising up the ones that others dismiss. And that is exactly what He has been doing with you. NTO be called a warrior is not just about winning battles in the open. It is about surviving the ones that no one else even knew you were fighting. How many times have you faced storms that you carried in silence? How many nights have you endured with tears falling only in the dark while others thought you were fine? How many mornings have you forced yourself to rise when your spirit wanted to stay in bed and disappear? Those are not signs of weakness. Those are signs of the resilience of a warrior. People might never know the full weight you have carried, but heaven has witnessed it. God has seen every hidden fight, every unseen struggle, and every time you chose to endure. That is why He calls you a warrior. The word weak is often thrown around casually by those who have no idea what you've endured. They see a moment of vulnerability and assume it defines your whole story. They see you cry and they assume you are fragile. But warriors cry. Warriors feel. Warriors break down and then get back up again. The strength of a warrior is not the absence of emotion, but the decision to continue even with tears still on their face. Do not believe the lie that weakness disqualifies you from strength. Your moments of fragility are not the opposite of being a warrior. They are part of what makes you one. The one who feels deeply and still rises. The one who breaks and still rebuilds. The one who falters but refuses to stay down. That one is the truest warrior of all. If you could step outside of yourself and see your life as a whole, you would realize how many battles you have already won. Some battles were in your mind, against voices of doubt and fear that tried to tell you to give up. Some battles were external, against circumstances and situations that threatened to crush you. And yet, here you are, still breathing. Still moving forward, still holding on to hope, even if it is by a thin thread. That survival is not weakness. It is proof of your warrior's spirit. Others might not recognize it, but you are living evidence that the label of weak is a misjudgment. It is not truth. The truth is written in your survival. The truth is written in your resilience. The truth is written in your determination to keep going. It is easy for the world to call someone weak when they do not understand their journey. But God calls you warrior because He sees the full picture. He sees not only where you are, but where you are going. He knows the future victories already marked with your name. He knows the inner strength that has not yet been revealed. He knows that what looks like weakness to others is simply the preparation for your next breakthrough. The very areas that others mock or dismiss are the areas He will use to show your strength. He delights in turning the underestimated into the unstoppable, and that is what He is doing with you. They may call you weak, but they are only setting the stage for the revelation of your true identity. Imagine for a moment a battlefield. To the untrained eye, you might look like the smallest, least prepared soldier. But appearances deceive. Within you, there is strategy, courage, endurance, and divine backing. While others boast in their own strength, your strength flows from a deeper source. And that makes you unshakable. Every warrior has a source of power. For some, it is physical might. For some, it is skill. But for you, it is the unyielding conviction that you are not abandoned, not forgotten, not insignificant. That conviction fuels you in battles that would crush others. It sustains you when others would surrender. It empowers you to keep pressing on when defeat seems inevitable. This is what makes you a true warrior. Not underestimate the power of your own story. Every scar you carry tells of a battle survived. Every lesson you have learned in pain has become a weapon in your hands. Every time you overcame what should have destroyed you, you sharpened your strength for the battles ahead. You may not realize it, but you have been trained by life itself. The hardships were not wasted. The trials were not meaningless. They have been forging you, piece by piece, into the warrior you were destined to become. Others may not see this process. They may dismiss you as weak. But one day, The strength within you will speak louder than their judgments ever could. And here is the truth. You do not have to convince anyone else of who you are. The validation of people is temporary, but the identity God has spoken over you is eternal. You do not need their approval to be a warrior. You do not need their recognition to walk in strength. You do not need their applause to live victoriously. Your worth does not rise and fall with the opinions of others. It is anchored in something unshakable. The label of warrior is not something you earn from others. It is something you already carry because God has declared it. And once you believe it for yourself, the voices of doubt lose their power. There is something powerful about the moment you stop allowing the words of others to define you. For so long, you may have carried labels like heavy stones, letting them weigh on your identity. Too fragile, too emotional, too soft, too broken. Each word thrown at you might have felt like confirmation of your deepest fears, that maybe you really were weak, that maybe you weren't built for the life you dreamed of living. But the transformation begins when you decide to drop those labels, when you refuse to carry them any longer. What people call you may echo for a season, but what God calls you resounds for eternity. He calls you warrior. He calls you strong. He calls you chosen. When you embrace this truth, the labels fall away like dust in the wind. The battles you face in life are not just about circumstances. They are also about identity. Every challenge that confronts you whispers a lie, that you are not enough, that you cannot endure, that you will fail. The real fight often takes place in your own mind, where the voices of doubt try to drown out the voice of truth. But warriors know how to rise above the lies. A warrior does not ignore the struggle. They confront it head-on. Every time you refuse to believe the lie of weakness, every time you declare over yourself that you are stronger than what you feel, you step into the reality of your warrior identity. This is not just about surviving battles, but about living with the confidence that you were made to overcome them. And it is often in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, that the strength of a warrior is proven, not on stages, not in applause, but in the hidden places where choices are made. Do you keep going when no one sees your effort? Do you rise again when no one cheers you on? Do you choose hope when despair would be easier? These hidden victories are the foundation of your strength. They may look small, but each one builds the spirit of a warrior within you. Others might not notice, but those moments matter. The private decisions you make to keep moving forward in faith and endurance are what prepare you for the greater battles to come. You have to understand that warriors are not born in comfort. They are born in struggle. They are born in seasons of pressure, pain, and testing. The challenges you are facing right now are not proof of your weakness. They are proof of your calling. A warrior is forged in the fire, and you are in the process of becoming everything you were meant to be. It hurts, yes. It feels overwhelming, yes. But just because it feels heavy does not mean you are failing. It means you are growing. Strength does not appear overnight. It is cultivated through trial. Every challenge is training your spirit. Every setback is sharpening your resolve. Every obstacle is strengthening your courage. You may feel the heat, but that heat is forging steel within your soul. There will always be people who cannot understand this process. They see only the outside. They see your struggle and call it weakness. They do not realize that it is in the very act of wrestling with challenges that you are becoming stronger. To them, your tears look like defeat. To them, your pauses look like failure. But what they do not see is that warriors are not defined by whether they struggle. They are defined by whether they refuse to quit. And you have refused. Time and again, you have chosen to endure. That is why you are still here. That is why your story is still unfolding. You are not the weak one they think you are. You are the warrior God knows you to be. You are not alone in this fight. Every warrior sometimes feels isolated, as if the battle is theirs to carry alone. But remember, your fight is not in vain, and it is not unseen. Every step forward matters. Every choice to persevere carries weight. Even when no one applauds, even when no one understands, your resilience is shaping your future. Warriors do not fight for recognition. They fight because it is in their nature to overcome. That is who you are. Overcoming is woven into your very identity. It is why you have made it this far, and it is why you will continue to move forward no matter what. They will call you weak because they do not understand what real strength looks like. Real strength is not loud. Real strength is not about appearances. Real strength is quiet endurance, unshakable resolve, and the courage to rise again after every fall. Real strength is the ability to love even when you have been hurt, to believe even after disappointment, to hope even after heartbreak. That is the kind of strength you carry. That is the warrior's strength. And though others may never see it, it does not make it any less real. In fact, it makes it even more powerful, because it is strength that does not depend on being seen. It exists whether or not anyone acknowledges it. NSO, let them call you weak. Let them misunderstand. Let them misjudge, because their words cannot change the truth. And the truth is this: you are a warrior. Your journey is proof of it. Your scars are proof of it. Your survival is proof of it. Every day you rise again, you are testifying to the warrior within you. One day those who called you weak will see what God already declared over you. One day the strength within you will shine so brightly that no one will be able to deny it. Until then, you keep walking, keep rising, keep fighting, because you are not weak. You are a warrior, and your story is still being written. There comes a moment in every warrior's life when the battle turns inward. It is no longer about the voices around you. It is about the voice within you. People may call you weak, but the greatest danger is when you begin to agree with them. That inner dialogue, the quiet thoughts that whisper in the silence, can either strengthen or shatter you. How many times have you told yourself, "I'm not strong enough, I can't do this, maybe they're right about me"? Those words can cut deeper than the insults of others. But this is where the fight truly begins. To be a warrior means to confront not only the enemies outside, but also the doubts and fears that try to live inside of you. The real victory is not just over circumstances, it is over yourself. No warrior understands that battles of the mind are the most relentless. You can escape a battlefield, but you cannot escape your own thoughts. That is why warriors learn discipline. They do not allow every thought to dictate their truth. They do not allow fear to have the final word. When weakness whispers, they respond with courage. When doubt rises, they silence it with determination. This is not easy. It takes practice, endurance, and resolve. But every time you choose to silence the voice of defeat and embrace the voice of truth, you win another battle. You prove, again and again, that you are not weak. You are strong enough to conquer even yourself. What people fail to understand is that warriors are not fearless. They simply move forward despite fear. Fear is a natural part of being human, but courage is what defines the warrior. Courage does not mean you never tremble. It means you keep moving, even while trembling. Courage is taking the step forward when your knees are shaking, when your voice quivers, when your heart pounds with uncertainty. The world calls you weak in those moments because they see your fear, but God calls you warrior because He sees your courage. Fear may be present, but it does not own you. What defines you is the step you take in spite of it. That is the essence of being a warrior. Your life has already been proof of this. Think about the challenges you have faced. There were moments you wanted to run, moments you wanted to hide, moments you thought the storm would swallow you whole, but instead of surrendering, you moved forward. Maybe slowly, maybe with trembling hands, maybe with tears running down your face, but you moved. That movement is the mark of a warrior. Weakness would have stopped you, but you kept going. Weakness would have silenced you, but you spoke anyway. Weakness would have chained you, but you broke free. You may not have felt strong in those moments, but strength was there all along, revealed in the fact that you did not stop. Not underestimate the strength it takes to keep moving through pain. The world glamorizes strength as visible triumph, as loud victory, as standing tall without faltering. But real strength is quiet. It is the choice to take the next breath when breathing feels unbearable. It is the decision to rise from bed when your spirit feels crushed. It is the courage to keep loving when you've been betrayed, to keep believing when life has disappointed you, to keep hoping when the night has been long and heavy. These quiet acts of endurance are the purest expression of strength, and you have lived them. That is why, even when others cannot see it, God calls you warrior. There is also a truth that warriors understand well. The road is never easy. You will stumble. You will face moments where you question everything. You will feel tired. You will feel stretched. You will feel like giving up. And in those moments, people may point and say, "See? Weak." But the stumble does not erase your strength. Falling does not erase your identity. Warriors fall many times, but what sets them apart is that they rise again. You have risen. Again and again you have chosen to stand up after being knocked down. And every time you rise, you prove that you are not weak. You are resilient. You are determined. You are a warrior. And strength is not about being perfect. Strength is about being unbreakable. Not because nothing ever tries to break you, but because nothing succeeds in keeping you down. You bend, but you do not break. You fall, but you do not stay down. You cry, but you do not surrender. That is what makes you unshakable. That is why, no matter how many times people call you weak, they are wrong. They are speaking from the outside, blind to the truth. They are misinterpreting what they see, because they do not understand what is inside of you. Only God sees the full picture. And He says without hesitation, "You are my warrior." So let the words of others fade into the background. They can call you weak all they want. Their voices are temporary. Their labels have no authority. What matters is the eternal truth that has been spoken over your life. And that truth is not fragile. That truth cannot be erased. That truth does not bend with opinion. You are a warrior, not because of what they say, but because of who you are, and because of who called you. The sooner you embrace this truth, the sooner you will walk in a strength that no one can take from you. World has a way of measuring strength with the wrong scales. It values physical might, loud voices, visible victories, and outward success. But true strength is not measured by the size of your muscles, the sharpness of your words, or the trophies on your shelf. True strength is measured by endurance, by compassion, by the ability to keep moving forward when everything in life tries to pull you backward. This is why so many mislabel you as weak. They cannot comprehend the kind of strength you carry. They cannot see the battles you have fought in silence, the nights you endured alone, the storms you weathered without anyone standing beside you. But God sees it all. He calls you warrior because your strength is not shallow. It is forged deep within your soul. Truth is, warriors are rarely recognized in the moment. People misunderstand them, misjudge them, and sometimes even mock them. They see the sweat, but not the discipline behind it. They see the tears, but not the courage it takes to keep going despite them. They see the scars, but not the victories they represent. And so they call you weak. They label what they cannot understand. But labels from people are temporary and flawed. The identity given by God is permanent and true. When He calls you warrior, no opinion on earth can erase that. It is not a title you achieve. It is who you already are. And living from that truth transforms everything. Think about it. If you were truly weak, you would not have survived what you did. Weakness would have left you crushed under the weight of life's burdens. Weakness would have silenced your voice long ago. Weakness would have convinced you to give up when hope seemed lost. But you didn't. You rose, you endured, you pressed forward. That resilience, that persistence, that refusal to quit, that is strength. That is the essence of a warrior. And while the world may never fully acknowledge it, it is undeniable. Your very existence right now is proof. You should have been broken, but you are still standing. That is not weakness. It is victory. A warrior is not only defined by the battles they fight, but also by the battles they choose. You have chosen to fight for your peace, for your joy, for your purpose, even when it would have been easier to surrender to despair. That choice reveals more strength than anyone could ever see on the outside. Warriors are not reckless fighters. They are intentional. They know what is worth their energy, their effort, their perseverance. And you too are learning this. Every time you refuse to waste your strength on the opinions of others, and instead focus on the path before you, you step deeper into your true identity. Others call you weak, but in truth you are wise, strategic, and stronger than they realize. NDO not overlook the role of your scars. A scar is proof that a wound tried to destroy you but failed. Every scar you carry, whether visible or hidden, is a story of survival. People may see scars and think they are flaws, signs of weakness. But to a warrior, scars are badges of honor. They are reminders of battles fought and won. They testify that even when you were wounded, you refused to stay down. They are not marks of shame. They are marks of victory. And your life, filled with scars and stories of survival, is a living testimony of strength. Others may overlook them, but you should never forget the meaning behind them. They prove that you are not who they say you are. You are far more. And even in your quietest moments, when no one else is around, the warrior within you continues to rise. You do not need a stage. You do not need applause. You do not need recognition to validate who you are. The truth is unshaken by silence. The warrior identity is not about how many people notice. It is about the truth that remains when no one notices. That truth is alive in you. That truth sustains you. And that truth will carry you forward into victories yet to come. You do not need to convince the world that you are strong. You only need to believe it for yourself, to walk in it daily, to embody it even when no one else affirms it. There will always be critics. There will always be voices that try to diminish you. But warriors are not defined by the voices they hear. They are defined by the choices they make. Your choice to keep rising, your choice to keep fighting, your choice to embrace the identity given to you, that is what sets you apart. That is why you are not weak. No matter what they say, you are a warrior, chosen and marked with a strength that cannot be taken away. And as you continue forward, you will discover that their words lose power, while your truth only grows stronger. There is a certain mystery in the way strength is revealed. Many people believe strength is only proven when victories are public, when achievements are displayed, when others can applaud the outcome. But the most powerful kind of strength is often invisible to the human eye. It is revealed in patience, in persistence, in the willingness to keep walking through uncertainty without giving up. That is the kind of strength you carry. It is not loud, it is not boastful, but it is unshakable. And that is why, while others may look at you and call you weak, God looks at you and calls you warrior. Because He does not measure strength by the same scales as people. He sees the courage it took to take even one step forward when you wanted to stop altogether. And every warrior understands that there are seasons when strength does not look like victory, but survival. You may not be conquering mountains every day. Some days your greatest victory is simply choosing not to give up. Choosing to get out of bed. Choosing to keep believing when hope feels far away. Do not underestimate the power of survival. Weakness would have given in, but you didn't. Weakness would have surrendered to despair, but you chose to keep breathing, to keep moving, to keep living. Survival itself is a battle, and you have already proven your strength countless times by surviving what should have crushed you. This is the quiet, hidden strength of a warrior, strength that is not always visible, but always real. You also need to know that being called a warrior does not mean you will never feel weary. Warriors get tired. Warriors get discouraged. Warriors sometimes long for rest, for peace, for a moment without struggle. And that is not failure. That is humanity. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to admit you are tired. Even the strongest warriors must lay down their swords for a time and recover. What makes them warriors is not that they never stop, but that they never quit. There is a difference between resting and surrendering. You may pause, but you will rise again. You may cry, but you will not be destroyed. You may feel exhausted, but that does not erase your identity. Even in your weariness, you remain a warrior. The world does not understand this kind of strength, which is why it so quickly calls you weak. It values a kind of strength that never falters, that always looks powerful, that never shows cracks. But perfection is not strength. Authenticity is. Warriors are authentic. They do not hide their struggles, they endure them. They do not pretend to be invincible. They simply refuse to be defeated. That authenticity is what makes you powerful beyond measure. You are not pretending to be strong. You are living out real strength, forged in the fires of pain and persistence. And one day, those who mocked you will realize that your so-called weakness was simply the evidence of battles they themselves could not have endured. The truth about warriors is that their power often grows in silence. You may not notice how strong you have become until you look back on your journey. Think about where you were years ago, the struggles that once seemed impossible, the obstacles that looked unmovable. Somehow, you are standing here now. You overcame. You endured. You grew stronger through it all. That is the evidence of your warrior spirit. Sometimes you don't feel it in the moment, but strength accumulates over time, like layers of armor added piece by piece. And one day you wake up and realize that you are no longer who you used to be. You are stronger. You are wiser. You are a warrior, even if others still cannot see it. So the next time someone calls you weak, remember this: their words are blind to your story. They do not know the tears you have cried, the battles you have fought, the nights you have survived. They do not see the victories hidden in your scars. They do not see the resilience forged in your heart. But God sees it all, and He has declared your true identity. You are His warrior. And no matter what they say, no matter how they label you, nothing can take that away. When you walk in this truth, you carry yourself differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. Because you know who you are, you know what you've survived, you know that you are stronger than the world will ever understand. One of the most liberating truths you can embrace is that you do not have to live according to the expectations of others. People may always have something to say about you. They may underestimate you, mislabel you, and call you weak because they cannot see the battles you've fought or the victories you've already claimed. But you were never created to live by their words. You were created to live by the truth of who you are. And the truth is, you are a warrior. That identity cannot be taken away. No matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone thinks, you were designed for resilience, for courage, for perseverance, and you are walking in that design every single day you choose not to give up. And a warrior does not need constant recognition because their strength is not for display, it is for endurance. You may not always feel strong, but that does not change the truth. Strength is not about how you feel in the moment. It is about who you are at the core. Even in your most fragile moments, even when you are trembling, even when you are unsure, you are still a warrior. Because a warrior is defined not by the absence of fear or struggle, but by the decision to rise again no matter what. And you have risen, time after time. Every step forward has proven your strength. Every day you wake up and choose to keep moving has proven your courage. That is the mark of a true warrior. Look back at your journey. Look at how many times you thought you wouldn't make it. Look at the seasons where you felt crushed under the weight of life. Look at the moments when you almost surrendered to despair. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still walking, still holding on to hope, even if it flickers faintly some days. That alone is evidence that you are far from weak. Weakness would have left you behind long ago. Weakness would have silenced your story. Weakness would have broken your spirit permanently. But nothing has been able to stop you. That kind of resilience cannot be denied. It is the quiet, unstoppable proof that you are who God says you are. A warrior. Warriors understand something that others do not. Every struggle shapes you. Every hardship refines you. Every setback builds you. Nothing has been wasted in your journey. The pain, the tears, the disappointments, they have all been part of your training ground. They have built endurance in you. They have sharpened your vision. They have prepared you for battles ahead that others could never fight. And because of everything you have walked through, you now carry a strength that cannot be stolen. People may still call you weak, but they are only revealing their blindness. The truth is stronger than their words, and the truth is alive in you. And then here is what makes your story so powerful. It inspires others. Whether you realize it or not, your resilience encourages those around you. Your survival gives hope to those who are still in the middle of their battles. Your quiet strength becomes a light to someone who feels like giving up. This is the ripple effect of being a warrior. It is not just about you. It is about the lives you touch. You may not always see it, but your endurance is leaving a mark. And one day, even those who called you weak may look back and realize that you were the strongest one all along. NSO, stand firm in your identity. Let their words fade into silence. Let their judgments roll off of you like water on stone. You do not have to prove yourself to them. You do not have to convince them. You do not have to meet their expectations. You only have to live in the truth that you are already a warrior. Every battle you face is another opportunity to reveal that truth, to embody it, to walk in it. And as you continue forward, remember this: their labels do not define you. Their opinions do not shape you. Only the eternal truth matters. And that truth says you are strong, you are chosen, you are unbreakable. You are a warrior. And at the end of every battle, there is a moment of reflection. The dust settles, the noise quiets, and what remains is the truth of who you are. Others may have called you weak. They may have doubted your endurance, underestimated your strength, and spoken words that wounded your heart, but their voices fade with time. What remains is not their opinion, but your reality. And the reality is this: you are still here. You are still standing. You are still pressing forward. That alone is proof that you are not who they said you were. You are who God has always known you to be: a warrior. A warrior's journey is never without scars, but every scar tells a story of survival. A warrior's path is never without struggle, but every struggle shapes resilience. A warrior's heart is never without fear, but every act of courage overcomes it. You are living evidence that strength is not found in perfection, but in perseverance. You have walked through storms and discovered that you could endure. You have faced battles and realized that you could rise again. You have survived seasons that tried to silence you, and in surviving, you have proven the truth that was spoken over you from the beginning. You are stronger than anyone has given you credit for. You are more resilient than the world has seen. You are a warrior. Let their words no longer hold you captive. The label of weak is not your story. It was never the truth. It was only the misunderstanding of those who could not see beyond the surface. But your story has always been deeper, richer, more powerful. Your story is one of endurance, of rising when others would have stayed down, of believing when others would have surrendered. And that story is still being written. There are still battles ahead, yes, but there are also victories waiting for you, victories that only a warrior could claim. And you will claim them because that is who you are. Take this truth with you. You are not weak. You are strong. You are resilient. You are unshakable. You are chosen. You are a warrior. Walk in that truth every single day. Let it shape how you see yourself, how you face challenges, how you step into the future. The world may continue to misunderstand you, but you will not be moved by their words. You will be anchored in the identity that cannot be taken away. You will be anchored in the truth that has always been yours. And as you live from that truth, you will inspire others to rise as well, to see themselves not through the eyes of the world, but through the eyes of God. NSO, let this be the declaration you carry forward. They may call me weak, but God calls me warrior. And I choose to believe Him. I choose to live as the warrior I was created to be. No matter the battle, no matter the struggle, no matter the voices around me, I will rise, I will endure, I will stand, because that is who I am. That is who I will always be, a warrior.